I replaced my $4,000 month assistant with AI. Here's what happened after 90 days of letting AI handle scheduling, emails, and research. I saved thousands, but almost lost my biggest client. I'm staring at my phone at 2 a.m., and there's a text from Marcus, the guy who accounts for 40% of my consulting revenue. It just says, "We need to talk tomorrow." And I know exactly what happened. My AI assistant had been emailing him for 3 weeks, and somewhere in those perfectly grammatically correct, efficiently optimized messages, it had said something that made him feel like he was talking to a robot. Because he was. Here's the thing. Nobody tells you about replacing human workers with AI. The money you save in month 1 can absolutely destroy relationships you spent years building. But here's what's even crazier. After I figured out what went wrong, I actually saved more money than before while keeping Marcus as a client. And the solution was so stupidly simple that I'm honestly embarrassed it took me losing $17,000 in potential revenue to figure it out. So let me back up. 8 months ago, I was paying my assistant, Sarah, $4,150 a month. She handled my calendar, responded to routine emails, researched topics for my content, and basically kept my freelance consulting business from falling apart. Sarah was great, but I was 26 years old, trying to build wealth and watching almost $50,000 a year walk out the door for tasks that I kept reading AI could handle. I'm going to break down exactly what happened over 90 days. The tools I used, the actual dollar amounts I saved and lost, the moment everything almost collapsed, and the hybrid system I built that now costs me under $400 a month while actually performing better than before. I'm also going to tell you about the one type of task you should never, ever give to AI, something I learned when a client nearly walked. And stick around because the math I'm going to show you at the end completely changed how I think about the whole AI replacing jobs conversation. Day 1 of my experiment started on a random Tuesday in March. I sat down and listed every single task Sarah did in a typical week. Calendar management, about 4 hours. Email responses, roughly 6 hours. Research and summaries, maybe 5 hours. Invoicing and follow-ups, 2 hours. Miscellaneous stuff like booking travel and sending gifts to clients, another 3 hours. 20 hours total. At her rate, that came out to about $52 per hour, which honestly felt reasonable for someone experienced. But then I started testing AI tools on each category, and this is where it gets interesting. For calendar stuff, I started using Reclaim AI, $15 a month. It learned my preferences within a week. I like meetings clustered on Tuesdays and Thursdays, mornings only, with 30-minute buffers between calls. It started auto-scheduling things exactly how I would have asked Sarah to do it. First month savings, roughly $700 just on calendar management. Emails were trickier. I used Claude for drafting responses, feeding it examples of how I typically write. The first batch of emails were fine. Professional, clear, got the job done. I was genuinely impressed. I remember thinking, why did I wait so long to do this? But here's the open loop I need to plant in your brain right now. Those emails felt fine to me because I was reading them as the sender. I had no idea how they were landing on the other end. That gap between how AI communication feels when you're creating it versus how it feels when you're receiving it, that gap nearly cost me everything. And I'll show you exactly what I mean in a few minutes. Research was where AI genuinely blew my mind. Tasks that used to take Sarah 3 or 4 hours, I was getting done in 20 minutes. Market analysis, competitor breakdowns, summarizing 50-page reports, all of it faster than I could have ever asked a human to do. By the end of month 1, I'd cut my effective assistant costs from $4,000 to about $200 in subscriptions. I felt like a genius. Month 2 is when the cracks started showing, but I was too focused on the numbers to notice. I had spreadsheets tracking everything: time saved, money saved, tasks completed. On paper, this experiment was a massive success. I was projecting annual savings of over $45,000. I started telling other freelancer friends about it. I was insufferable, honestly. But here's what wasn't on my spreadsheet: the client who stopped responding to my follow-ups, the warm lead who never booked a discovery call, the networking contact who left my message on read. I assumed these were just normal business fluctuations. People get busy, deals fall through, whatever. I didn't connect it to the AI transition at all. Then one Thursday night, I got that text from Marcus. "We need to talk tomorrow." Now, Marcus and I had worked together for 2 years. He ran a mid-size marketing agency, and I helped him with financial strategy for his clients. He was responsible for about $6,000 of my monthly income, and more importantly, he'd referred me to 3 other clients over the years. He was my most valuable professional relationship. The next morning, we got on a call, and he said something that hit me like a truck. He said, "I've been feeling like I'm talking to a wall lately. Your emails are technically fine, but they feel like they're coming from a different person. Are you even reading what I'm sending you?" I pulled up the last month of our email thread and actually read it from his perspective for the first time. And you know what? He was absolutely right. The AI had been responding to his messages efficiently, but it had stripped out everything that made our communication feel like a relationship. Inside jokes were gone. References to his daughter's soccer games, gone. That casual warmth that comes from actually knowing someone, completely gone. The emails were correct, but they were also hollow. This is the part that saved my business and honestly changed how I think about AI entirely. I spent that entire weekend rebuilding my system from scratch, not abandoning AI, but figuring out exactly where it helped and where it actively hurt. And I discovered something that sounds obvious, but took me losing a $40,000 per year relationship to truly understand. AI is incredible at tasks. AI is terrible at relationships. Let me make that concrete. Scheduling a meeting is a task. Maintaining the warmth with the person you're scheduling it with, that's a relationship. Drafting an email is a task. Remembering that Marcus's daughter just won her championship game and that deserves a mention, that's a relationship. Researching a company before a sales call is a task. Reading the room during negotiation, that's a relationship. So I created 2 categories in my system. Green tasks are fully AI automated. Calendar management, first draft research, invoice generation, data entry, travel booking. Red tasks require human touch. All communication with high-value clients, anything involving negotiation, messages where tone really matters, relationship maintenance. For the red tasks, I still use AI, but only for first drafts that I personally edit before they go out. Every email to Marcus now goes through my own brain before hitting send. It takes me maybe 3 minutes per message instead of 0. But that 3 minutes protects a $6,000 per month relationship. I also discovered something that made my research even better. For creating content and voiceover scripts, I started using ElevenLabs at http://try.elevenlabs.io 2PU1009Y92JL1 because I needed a way to test how my AI drafted content actually sounded when